What do all of these ways have in common is that they increase dopamine in different modalities. And that is very telling because a dopamine deficiency is oftentimes the root cause of ADHD. So it makes sense to focus there first. Binaural beats is basically listening to two different frequencies, one in one ear, the other in the other ear, and they're supposed to synergize together and produce a calming and cognitively enhancing effect. This is a strategy I heard about ages ago, and I tried it for a bit. I noticed some effect for a little bit, and then eventually I forgot about it. I moved on to different things like nootropics, supplements. Then a couple of years go by, and I'm listening to an Andrew Huberman podcast. That kind of sparked a fire back in me because I remember I used to use it, and then I started researching it a bit, and I found out there's actually some good quality studies. It's a free thing to do that's actually somewhat effective, so it makes sense. It's like, why wouldn't you? One of the studies I found was more so like a sample pilot study that only had 20 participants, except they found the group that was listening to binaural beats, they noticed better concentration and better calmness. Then further down, looking at a meta-analysis examining a bunch of different studies, it showed marked improvements for memory and for focus, and that's very interesting. And then I read another meta-analysis that showed the same thing, and it showed that it could even benefit long-term memory, and it just really had me intrigued because this is a very much a zero-cost tool that almost everybody can use that is effective. The binaural beats that I use will be marked in the description. It's a good tool to have in your tool belt, just like another strategy, which is herbal supplements, which we all love our supplements, don't we? Particularly for ADHD. There's some herbal supplements that are very interesting and very promising. There is polygala, there is saffron, and there is Sabroxy. Polygala is an ancient Chinese traditional herb that has been used for centuries. A powerful compound in it is a monoamine triple reuptake inhibitor. Basically, it inhibits the reuptake of serotonin, norepinephrine, and dopamine, increasing concentrations of those neurotransmitters, giving you better cognitive ability. And even so, an isolated compound from polygala is right now being trialed and tested in the States for treatment of ADHD. You can jump ahead of the line and you can try it for yourself relatively cheaply before Big Pharma tries to patent it and take it away from you. In my personal experience, polygala is amazing. It's a very effective compound that is very cheap, has a lot of other ancillary benefits. Saffron is the world's most expensive spice found in the Middle East. One study that really stands out with saffron is they gave one group methylphenidate and another group saffron, and they found that they had the same efficacy for treating ADHD symptoms, which is pretty crazy because saffron is a cooking spice. People commonly use it in their cuisines, in their dishes, to spice it up a bit, except it's also a powerful cognitive enhancer. According to this study, there are a few types of saffron on the market. I recommend to go for the Affron version because that's more tailored to noradrenic and dopaminergic activity compared to the other standardized extracts that are more tailored towards serotonergic activity. Obviously, we're talking about ADHD here, so we're talking more about dopamine compared to serotonin, except serotonin does also play a pivotal role in ADHD. Sabroxy is a patented extract derived from the Indian trumpet tree that is almost solely a dopamine reuptake inhibitor, so it doesn't affect serotonin, it doesn't affect noradrenaline, it just purely affects dopamine, and so it can be very good for ADHD, and it very much is like for Ritalin, in that it lasts 3 to 4 hours. It primarily just affects that system and then it wears off like Ritalin. It causes some anxiety like Ritalin. They're very similar in that aspect. Sabroxy also has some other neuroprotective effects, has some other downstream neuroplasticity effects, so it can be a more full package compared to something like Ritalin, except Ritalin as a whole would be a little bit stronger just because it has more noradrenic activity. Other compounds are effective too, like caffeine, like coffee, and like yerba mate, which is a coffee-like drink that originates from South America that we see our very own Lionel Messi drink all the time to great benefit because it's like coffee except just a bit more. Obviously, caffeine and coffee is great for ADHD in that it's a stimulant and that it downstream increases dopamine, and those two actions are very good for the classic etiology of ADHD. Except yerba mate is that, except just a lot more in that it's a lot more smooth. Coffee is more fast-acting, where yerba mate is more of a slow release in that it's calming and stimulating, where coffee is just stimulating all the way. Yerba mate is a bit of both, kind of like caffeine and L-theanine, in that you have the sedation and the stimulation and they kind of work hand in hand, as well as it has a lot of impressive antioxidant effects even anti-cancer effects, metabolism benefits, a lot of different things under the umbrella. A standard cup of yerba mate has around 85 milligrams of caffeine, where a standard cup of coffee has 95 milligrams, so there's a little bit difference there. Anecdotally, on the beautiful place of Reddit, you see countless posts and countless comments about people switching from coffee to yerba mate for great effect to their ADHD. So there is something here. There absolutely is, and I recommend to try it out because it's another simple solution. It's more so just a modification on what most people do, and it can yield great benefits. So this is a great compound overall for ADHD, and another great compound for ADHD is cannabis, surprisingly. A little on the devil's lettuce. If you look at ADHD, you kind of wonder, why are people with ADHD 8 times more likely to smoke cannabis than those that don't have it? You know, what is the link there? What is the reason there? The reason is probably because it's therapeutic. You know, it's massively therapeutic, probably offers a lot of benefits. Primary bioactive components, THC and CBD. So THC and CBD, both of these are agonists at the CB1 and the CB2 receptors independently. THC is more so responsible for the short-term dopamine release that you get with weed or cannabis. In that THC, because of its activation of the CB1 receptors, it increases dopamine synthesis and dopamine release. And it's majorly the reason that weed can trigger some schizophrenic episodes or some psychotic episodes, because it does encourage dopamine release in that way. CBD is neuroprotective to dopamine neurons, so it has more neuroprotection effects, as well as a lower stress, which can always help to increase dopamine. Except paradoxically, high doses of THC actually decrease dopamine, so it is very much a dose-dependent effect. And all of these effects are great, except somebody could get these effects from just drinking coffee. I think the biggest reason why cannabis is so therapeutic for ADHD is that it shuts off your mind. You know, it quiets your default mode network that is always running in the background, that monkey mind that's always running in the background, that's silent in the moment, except active at rest, because you have a dysfunction of the on and off switch with that brain region. Weed majorly helps kind of shut off that part of your mind, so you can silence the dysfunctional default mode network and increase your focus and increase your life satisfaction, except it's only a temporary solution for the majority of people. Some people can smoke it every day and not notice much effects cognitive wise, except that's not most people. That is the minority of people. Most people, they notice, you know, a cognitive impairment from weed, you know, is the short and sweet of it. So if that is you, it's best to just take it, consume it short term, sporadically, so you still have those good effects. Except I wouldn't do it every day, because it can definitely fry your brain a bit and it can make you just be a bit stupid. And it's one of those things, like insomnia is common for ADHD, and weed helps with that temporarily, except long term it hurts it because it decreases REM sleep, like rapid eye movement sleep. So that's something to note as well. Intermediate fasting, that you eat the same amount of food, just eat it in different time periods. So you have the 16-hour fast and the 8-hour eating window. It's supposed to mimic how our ancestors ate, and it turns on a lot of very good cellular programming, reducing autophagy, maintenance of cells, and temporarily increasing dopamine and norepinephrine, which is deficient in ADHD, so it helps in that aspect.